Yeah. All right. Let's settle down. We have our final presentation of the day. So I give you Nick Farah.
Hey guys. Hi. Cohort 8, Cohort 9. People on the internet who may or may not be wearing pants while they watch me.
Yeah.
My name is Nick Farah, and I am pitching Warp Derby. Now, Warp Derby is a vehicular combat game, multiplayer, arena-based, where two players will be in a single car together, acting as a team. One person is driving, crashing into people, avoiding getting crashed into, avoiding environmental hazards. The second player plays the role of the gunner. And this is not a traditional gunner firing rockets or machine guns. They are attached to a mounted portal cannon. So the portals act very similarly to Portal, the game. Maybe some of you have played it. And you use them both offensively and defensively. So to get out of tricky situations or to put other people into tricky situations. Now, a couple criticisms have been levied at me after my first presentation. A couple, not a lot, two. People think that Portals is not sufficient for just the gun. There's not enough stuff. They want rockets, they want missiles, they want machine guns, lasers. No, stupid. You have direct combat, which is all those things. And then you have indirect combat. Now, indirect combat gives you a whole host of other options when you're engaging in vehicular warfare. And I'm not sure I can do as good of a job as explaining it as a well-crafted flash video. So, watch that. There's quite a good deal of variety and interactions that you can have with the environment and the hazards contained within it. It's important to note that Kwong's harmed in the making of that, and I would like to thank Kwong for allowing me to use his image, which he was probably regretting at this point. So yeah, in summation, direct combat, whack. Indirect combat, pretty awesome. You can express yourself in a variety of different ways when you're attempting to manage your opponents. It's key. So that is the game. You guys probably get that. Now, what does it look like? We are going with the post-apocalyptic Mad Max Road Warrior style. Not the first Mad Max. That one's weird. He's just like an Australian cop getting ice cream with his family. Not do that one. The second one, that's where we're talking about. Like, everything's repurposed, scrap, people are fighting over gasoline, little things like that. So now we're going to get into the art style section. We're going for a mix between Halo and Team Fortress 2 in the sense of exaggerated, stylized type motifs. So a good medium is Borderlands. Kind of great stylized realism. We've got our color palettes here. You can tell the vehicles will kind of stand out from the environment, which looks similar to a Hispanic girl's makeup. Our environments. These are some of our source images. The two in the middle really kind of speak to what we're going for. This city's kind of like a good arena-style venue that we might utilize. Then we've got some vehicles here. These are the angles that we're going to be shooting for on getting some of these vehicles in the game. They're going to be relatively different enough to where some will handle differently, some will faster, things like this. And we kind of want that to be represented in what they look like. Character. There is going to be character in this game about driving vehicles. Now, it's not going to be, obviously, fully rigged, people wandering around the arena getting maimed. There's going to be more of selecting characters just to kind of personalize your experience. These characters will have, their own various dialogue quips and things like that to kind of personalize your choice. And we will also be able to see a good deal of the gunner, since the gunner is going to have a 360 kind of shooting angle. He's going to be mounted on top of these vehicles, and you'll be seeing a good deal of that guy. This is one of the primary pieces of source art that we took into consideration when we designed this. And now, thanks to the very talented Mike Kemp, we have some original concept art here. My mistake. This was my concept art. This is Mike's concept art. That's actually some of my personal concept art from an unrelated project. There we go. Yeah, this is Mike's concept art. So this kind of, we felt like captured a good deal of the action that would be going on in any given bout. You've got a scrap metal boulder going through a portal here, smashing this green car off to the side. This guy got jettisoned into an exploding barrel. These two guys are having a mid-air collision above the pit. Overall, pretty sick. You guys are going to like it. And we created a little demo. Just kind of further prove our points here. But my lovely assistant Tyler is going to display for you guys. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on there. Car crushers, springboards, some fancy board maneuvering. So I can gush about this game all day, and I won't, but maybe we hear some testimonials. The people that are not me that also believe in this project. You shouldn't take my word for it. Who am I? Obviously, I have a lot of stake in it. These people don't. They're just believers. So first up, Bradbury, aka the Big O Grammar. I remember when I first voiced this idea, Matt, I told him about the idea. You looked at me, you said, bro. And I knew then. That my idea and wanted to see this vision for this. And he was also the driving force behind getting those portals in the demo, working portals. Did it about 15 minutes earlier before presentations. Not that hard. Next testimonial. Got Brian, the wild man, with me. Where Brian told me that this was the game for him. We were out drinking, and there's really no better measure of true honesty than about 14 beers. So I'm confident in this dedication. See, next up, Dr. Phil. The good doctor read the pitch for this game. I can just tell from the starry eyes that he was on board with this. Up next, my talented artist. That's my talent. They came up to me after the initial pitches. He was like, Nick, I like your game because the art style does not have the word punk in it. And if it does have the word punk in it, I am off the project. Took Moxie, and I like it. And finally, Sahil the Thrill. Now, Sahil likes my game because I told him it was exactly like cricket. Explicitly alive because I have no idea how cricket is. Testimonial aside, why should you work on this game? There's a multitude of reasons, and I'm not complicated all of them. But ultimately, the game is small enough in scope to where we can have a polished experience that is a real deal game, something that we can play multiple times and enjoy, not just one like quick run through. Play this while we're developing it, having fun stomping on each other, and continue to enjoy it throughout development without being bored and some pie charts. I'm trying to get away from the capstone or the piece of pie, which is nothing wrong with that. I understand we're under limited time and we're all pretty much new-ish at this. But I think that we're capable of creating something that is full pie game. Full pie. We got time. We can make this work. We can really make it sing. It's small in scope, like I said. We can get it polished and maybe have something that could actually be a legitimate product. Might be a pretty free-ish product, but a product nonetheless. Now, obviously, there's nothing wrong with these single piece of pie. You might be thinking, why be greedy? Single piece of pie is pretty sweet. You could have no pie. Who would want a full pie in the first place? It's too much pie. Well, there are indeed people who like the whole pie. There's nothing wrong with feeling that. So, yeah. Questions. Bear in mind that the more questions that you ask me, the longer it will take us to get to the bar.
I got, I think, 2 questions regarding players.
Okay, one question at a time, buddy.
Are they going to be local or multiplayer?
Multiplayer.
Or, I'm sorry, online.
Online, yes.
Okay. And then in a lot of games that involve cars, one person is driver, one person is runner, I found that it's hard for people to communicate if they're right next to each other.
Right. We are planning on an always-on voice communication, similar to Skype or Mumble. Obviously, it can be difficult to coordinate with a stranger. So we are going to have the ability for one person to control their car. Given they won't be as confident as two people working well in tandem together, but they will most surely be more confident than two people just trying to
So will that one person be able to control the time as well?
Yes.
I only got one question.
Sure.
What do you plan on releasing this on? PC, Xbox?
PC.
Okay.
All right. Do the bulletin? DJ.
Why are you saying?
Well,
Good greetings.
Colonel Princeton? Where it all started? Where it all ends. Tom.
Yeah, do you think there's a possibility, had you thought about adding external controller control, like a steering wheel or
Someone did
brakes?
mention bringing back the steering wheel peripherals.
No, I mean, I'm just...
Earlier today.
I've got one.
I mean, it's cumbersome. Obviously, an Xbox controller or something would work very well for this, but it seems a little too. We could have support for a wheel controller, but honestly, the amount of people that have wheel controllers out there is probably not a huge demographic, so I wouldn't mind sliding them.
So clearly you have a way with humor. Would you be thinking about putting this kind of humor into perhaps like little snippets of character dialogue? Like, would this also be a funny game?
It would probably inevitably be. Yeah. Ben?
So I know you're against direct destruction towards other cars, but are there other forms besides working the portal mechanism that you consider for indirect destruction?
Well, there is two schools of thought. You can ram people, right? You can just cause straight damage by smashing into them, or you can push them into environmental hazards that will cause damage to them. Car crushers, they had a barrel with enough force it will explode, various things like that. Or there's the portal methodology where you can simply get people to fall out of the roof of the arena and smash into something.
I guess what I'm saying is, like, aside from the player firing these portals, what about like things like maybe like a gummy bomb or something? Or something like that where it's not on direct.
Anything like that will be incorporated into environmental hazards through use of the portal. So, not to repeat the exact same thing that I just said, but there's like an oil drip, and you can reroute the oil from that to some other part of the map to create a slick surface that people slide on. And you can put this somewhere where it can also slide into pits, or off cliffs, or into other hazards. There's a similar mechanic where there's smoke bombs. You put these smoke bombs which go off in the arena. You put a portal on them and one somewhere else. You can diffuse the smoke to that part of the arena, so you can obscure an exploding barrel, say, something like that. So it's all based around subtle kind of history. So, Anthony,
Do you plan on having any like different variants in the car types, or you all of them the same?
yeah, we do have variants in the car types. There will be smaller, kind of quicker cars. So think of like the Mario Kart methodology, where you've got like Toad who accelerates fast, but doesn't have a really maxed out top speed. And you've got Bowser who's really slow to accelerate, but he's got the highest amount of speed. Things like that, but those will be reflected in the shape and size of the cars. Sarah, did you miss my presentation?
No, I watched it live.
Okay.
In my office.
Just check.
He was an overflow.
All right, okay.
So this definitely sounds like a really fun idea, but my main concern is that it may be too small in scope. So if that were the case, like what would you do if the game was finished early?
If the game was finished early, we would carry the polish so it was something that you would actually see yourself taking out off of Steam and actually doing, like a real game. We would have to have Strauss. One question left?
I'm covered 8.
Okay.
How does the camera work? Does it follow the gun or is it behind the driver split screen?
Right.
How is that?
So we're going to try to avoid split screen altogether because that's a hassle and pain in the ass. Drivers will have one camera that is like the third person kind of you saw in the demo, basically.
Right.
And gunners will have a similar third person, but they'll be slightly higher up, and they'll have 360 degrees of rotation as far as their camera. Now they won't be able to see 360 degrees at all times, obviously, but they'll be able to rotate and like face backwards, like they can face away from the direction that their driver is driving. But they will both always have a clear view of where the car is in the map, so that a gunner can try to avoid situations where the driver is driving into something that maybe they don't see, or kind of confuse situations like them falling through space.
Right. And that's just for the online multiplayer?
Correct. We are not really planning any sort of local multiplayer with split screen. Everyone will be on their own machine.
Okay, thank you.